Hi, Carol Hazel with Carol Hazel Real Estate, and I'm here today with Bob Smith with Columbus Capital Lending. And we're actually going to be discussing the differences coming from up north to Florida, and specifically Michigan. I'm from Michigan, I'm a Michigan native, and I work in real estate in both Michigan and Florida. And Bob is also a Michigan native, and he does loans both in Michigan and Florida, correct?
Right.
And we're going to talk about some of the things that we separately had run into on different transactions, and actually just some of the common thoughts from someone coming from up north and what they would expect when they came down here, and what you might run into, especially when it comes to financing. So Bob, for example, say you've pre-qualified someone and they're qualified for $2,800 payment. In Michigan, for example, you'd have a pretty good idea of exactly, the price of the home and, what the taxes would be and in the insurance. But here it really is quite a variable on what type of home it is, where it's located, and I wanted you to kind of expound on some of those differences of what they might run into.
Sure. Well, exactly as she said, in Michigan, a $2,800 home, we would have a pretty good idea of what type of home, what the price point of that home would be.
Right.
Here in Florida, there's so many variables in there. There's HOAs on a majority of the homes that you're going to find. So a $2,800 home, you may find one that has no HOA. You might find one that has a $500, $600, $700 HOA, and those are monthly. So that's really going to affect what the size of the home.
And I interject because when I first came down here, there would be some homes that would be listed for $20,000, and you look at the HOA was $3,000 a month plus a $10,000 application fee and a $65,000 membership fee. Now that's not a common community, though, but you learn very quickly which communities that is. More often, I would say, on the East Coast, your HOAs are somewhere, wouldn't you say an oceanfront condo, somewhere between 400 and 800? There's variables, of course.
That's absolutely true.
Depends on what it includes and things like that.
Right. And also how the home's built. In Michigan, you have your regular framed, all your homes are framed. Mm-hmm. Here, if it's framed, obviously everybody knows that in Florida you're looking, the threat of hurricane is well, we're in the heat of it right now. Mm-hmm. And if you have a frame built home here in Florida, your insurance is going to be much higher than if you have a
CBS. Yes, because
home.
A wood frame home, there's more risk for termites, wood rot, the wind, obviously, when hold up to hurricane type winds as well, and so your insurance is quite a bit more if you do have a wood frame home, as opposed to a CBS, which is concrete block construction.
Correct. So those are all the things. When we moved from Michigan to here, we had to learn, we didn't know about. So we had to learn kind of by trial and fire, really, by going into it. And the cost of getting into a home here is considerably higher too. I mean, the cost of getting into a new home anyway is expensive with all the costs between title and everything else that's included. In Florida, there's a little bit more cost. So those are things that we weren't aware of when we moved down. Right. That we would like to make sure everybody else is aware of that is listening. Mm-hmm. That there are more costs, that we don't want you to be surprised at the end or even at the beginning of this. We want you to know up front.
Is it going to run into a stopple?
There's definitely a stopple if you're finding something that's in an association. Mm-hmm. A lot of places down here are an association. You're going to run into, you have to pay mortgage stamps on every transaction. Mm-hmm. So that's 0.55, so a $100,000 loan, that's $550 more in closing costs than what you have. Your title work's usually a little bit higher. Surveys on everything are needed except for condos. So these are all things that are a little bit different. It's going to cost you a little bit more. But
the inspections are a little higher too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And plus you do have to pay for the wind mitigation if you want to get the credits for the insurance, which you will definitely, I would assure that you would want to get those. Also, I do like to say though too that in Florida, it's somewhat similar to Michigan if you want to compare it this way. If you're on the water, of course prices are higher, right? You're on, the ocean, and when you're on Lake Michigan or Lake Huron or Lake Erie, you're also, you're paying a premium for being in those locations. If you want to go towards inland, towards the center of Florida, you can still find some great deals out there, no association, and obviously the insurance will be lower. So definitely don't want to, scare you away from that, but it's good to know and to kind of be prepared when you do try to make a move down here that you're aware of those things.
Absolutely, yeah. And as you said, the further inland you're going to get, you can even get some land the further inland that's going to be similar to a Michigan.
Yes.
If you stay closer in towards the water, if you get any land, you're going to pay for it. It's just like anywhere. But for sure, if you go inland, you're going to be finding some great deals. And we're finding that taxes and the prices of homes not that far off from Michigan, really.
Right. The property taxes really they're actually a lot lower if you do go inland. I have found them to be lower than Michigan. Obviously, it always depends what county you're in, and there's a lot of variables there. But I just hope this is helpful to you if you're looking for maybe a home or a second home. And then lastly, I was going to talk about, because everybody knows that condos can be tough to finance because they're not Fannie Mae approved and such. And but you are able to do those through the Streamline?
Yeah, if you're moving down, it's going to be your primary home. We definitely have programs that we can go into. It's called a limited review, where we don't have to go through all the documentation that the association or our lenders would require. And if it is going to be your primary home, and you have a 25% down, we can go through a limited review. If it's a Fannie Mae approved, we can do the 3 and 5 and 10% down products as well. But those are the ones that each one's going to be a case by case, and whether it's going to be your primary home or your second home is going to depend on it. But there is financing. Even if you find a home or a condo that's not financeable, just for some reason, because there may have been a litigation that has been pending for a while, it's nothing that's really major. There's still some outlets out there on a brokered side that we can look at to get them into those homes as well. So.
That's another point. Last point, when you're dealing with a broker, that they have more availability for products to kind of fit different scenarios, and so that you don't have to switch from one lender to another, so they can get you all the way through the process.
Sure.
And I just hope everyone finds this really helpful when you're going to buy a home. And again, this is Bob Smith with Columbus Capital Lending. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.